today on 2+U Nevada.
So there's the whole group of people that maybe things are changing in their lives. Maybe they've lost a job, maybe they have something going on that would now start to qualify for these safety net programs who can't access them.
The government shutdown and SNAP benefit cuts have created a domino effect on need in our community. An in-depth conversation with Catholic Charities of Northern Nevada CEO Marie Baxter.
The area I'm most interested in is using games to teach CPR, and the data is showing that that could be a useful way to not only train with the physical skill, but also to provide emotional preparation for this very stressful event.
New guidelines for CPR and a new game that's educating our kids on how to perform the life-saving skill.
As we live longer, we definitely need to maintain our health longer, right? So my goal is to bring to the community alternatives to medication management and surgery so that you can carry on and be active and really enjoy your quality of life.
Aging and your best self. The free event coming up this Friday to help you have the most money and able body as you grow older. You're watching 2+U Nevada. Thank you for joining us for this edition of 2+U Nevada. I'm Sarah Johns, your host. Well, how many of you didn't sleep due to the howling wind? The wind, coupled with the time change and maybe some mid-40-year-old hormone fluctuations, had me wide awake at around 3:30 this morning. But it was so pleasant. I told my mind that the wind I was hearing was ocean waves. Work with me here. Maybe I was half asleep and my mind could have been convinced. Then I opened up my e-reader and re-entered this amazing, trashy novel that I started on my most recent trip out of town. Which reminded me, one of the best ways to wake up in the morning is to have a cup of coffee and just do something for myself. In essence, I turned the hours full of lemons into lemonade. Then the power went out. Still, I wish for you a lemonade moment sometime today. We have a fantastic show today. We continue our in-depth look at the first responders to those in need in our community. Marie Baxter from Catholic Charities of Northern Nevada gets candid. Who is currently seeking help in our community and the trickle-down effect of SNAP benefits getting cut. We are thrilled to have you joining us today for 2+U Nevada. You are watching 2+U Nevada. Joining us this afternoon, Marie Baxter, CEO of Catholic Charities Northern Nevada. Marie, thank you so much for being here. We're going to have a robust discussion this afternoon about the state of our need in the community. And especially right now with what's going on with SNAP benefits, I think it just came out that the federal government needs to fund at least half of SNAP benefits, but the need is definitely being seen by organizations in our community.
It is. So we knew that there were changes coming to SNAP in general starting in November 1st. What we didn't really anticipate was the increased need that was going to happen with the government shutdown and whether or not there are some dollars that will be coming from the USDA so that people may get partial SNAP benefits versus individuals who have no SNAP benefits currently, or maybe they aren't qualified, or something has shifted within that. So we have a whole continuum of people with need, and our nonprofit partners like the Food Bank of Northern Nevada, Catholic Charities of Northern Nevada, we are the ones that are most equipped to really step up and help people very rapidly when we find people that have need for food in particular.
Well, yeah, and so really and truly the bar or the line is moving for you guys, because you may have had an established idea in your mind of what the need was, of what inventory you needed. But now with people being on furlough or not working due to what's happening in our government right now, that you're actually seeing those numbers changing.
For sure. So there's different lanes of people, right, that we're seeing. So we have people that have their SNAP benefits didn't fund on November 1st, which about 70% are children or seniors. So we're talking about people who, they don't have additional financial capacity to be able to go out and work. So there's that lane of people. Then, of course, there's all individuals who are not getting their paychecks because they're federal employees. So they're leaning in on things like our St. Vincent's dining room, the food pantry. Then we also have people who, since October 1, who probably would qualify for some of these benefit programs such as WIC, which is Women, Infant, and Children, SNAP, et cetera, et cetera. They're not taking new applicants. So there's the whole group of people that maybe things are changing in their lives. Maybe they've lost a job. Maybe they have something going on that would now start to qualify for these safety net programs who can't access them. So we're seeing a surge of people who never thought they were coming to a food pantry standing in line.
Right. It reminds me really and truly of like the housing crisis of 2008, 2009, thereabouts, because people were losing their jobs, and the people who, I don't want to say were too proud, but never thought that they would ever have to use some sort of agency like yourself or like the food pantry are finding themselves in need and asking for help. And you were telling us earlier that it was the requirements that were going to be changing.
Yes, and those are changing.
So those are changing right now. So let's talk about, because you had said last month that people are going to have work requirements. You're going to have to be able-bodied, and you're going to have to volunteer. You're going to have to show that you have a job in order to qualify for things. So where do you stand with that right now?
So we have government shutdown challenges for individuals, but then we have new rules that came out with HR 1 on July 4th that took effect on November 1. So those are individuals who are veterans, people experiencing homelessness, foster youth who've aged out of the foster care system, seniors in certain categories, 54 to 63 years of age, parents who have children who are now, between the ages of 14 and 18. They do have new workforce requirements, and they do have, or volunteering requirements. So it's called ABOD, able-bodied adults without dependents. So they are also now having to navigate different systems, making sure that they can demonstrate that they're meeting these. Many, many people who get safety net programs are working or do have some form of waiver, like if it's a senior or a child. But there are a lot of people that are now finding themselves where they had a waiver, they don't have a waiver. So the safety net programs are changing, the qualifications are changing, and then the government is shut down in the middle of this. So it's a really complex time. And at Catholic Charities, our biggest concern is making sure people just don't go hungry. So, we're helping people navigate these systems, but really, what we're doing is we're opening up more pantries. We're making sure the St. Vincent's dining room, where you can get a hot meal 365 days a year, is available to individuals. No one should be going hungry, particularly in the Reno-Sparks area. You can lean in on Catholic Charities. We'll help you navigate all these other challenges, but there is food available through our different pantries, through the dining room, and then some different things that we're also doing in our rural communities to try to make sure people aren't hungry during these times when there's just a lot of uncertainty.
Right. So don't go anywhere. We're going to continue this robust discussion with Marie on the other side of the break. But in the meantime, Marie, if people need help or if people want to donate, let them know where to go.
So visiting our website is really helpful. You can visit the food bank's website as well. You can Google Catholic Charities of Northern Nevada because it's in real time. Our social media is in real time. But it's got when all of our pantries are open, when the dining room is open. So, and I'll talk more about that in the next segment, but lots of ways for people to get that information in real time.
Okay, Marie, thank you. You're watching 2+U Nevada. You are watching 2+U Nevada, and we are rejoined by Marie Baxter, the CEO of Catholic Charities of Northern Nevada. Marie, thank you so much for being here this afternoon.
Thank you.
We're having you here to discuss what is happening and really get a pulse read on the need in our community. I think people watch the news and they hear government shutdown and they don't actually see what you are seeing affecting our community. So why don't you just tell everybody at home what you have seen this week compared to 4 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago?
So we have a lot of people that utilize our pantry network. A lot of them are seniors, but what we're seeing now showing up even more in our lines are families. So, and these are our neighbors. These are people that never thought they were going to need to lean in a food pantry, or maybe not since the pandemic, when they're literally looking at their children saying, I don't have any food in the house. What am I going to make for dinner? And we're getting phone calls, we're getting concerns. we're getting so many parents that they don't have infant formula, which we've done a massive infant formula drive. A lot of the ones we got today are people in the military. I got calls from people in the military and government employees who, you know, they're expending their savings, they're running out, and they need infant formula. Their babies were just born, and you know they're in this state of crisis. So it's a vastly different audience than, you know, individuals who might be experiencing homelessness.
Right.
We had children running all over our dining room on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night because we've opened the dining room for family dinners. You know, so that way we can make sure people get a good, hot, balanced meal, and we're going to expand that program throughout the rest of November. So it's families, it's our neighbors, it's people who, you know, all of a sudden they're just not getting a paycheck, or they don't have their SNAP benefit to be able to purchase some of those groceries that supplement and help them make ends meet.
And so I think I saw in either today's news or yesterday's news, maybe it was, but I thought I saw that at least 50% of SNAP benefits must now be paid.
So we're optimistic. So there were a couple of federal judges that indicated that the federal government needed to use some contingency funds through the USDA to fund SNAP benefits. Now, what that's actually going to look like has not been fully, you know, presented out to all the individuals who are SNAP recipients. So they're looking at what's the demand, what's the dollars, and how long is it going to take. SNAP is actually administered by every individual state. So it's federal dollars that actually fund your SNAP card. States themselves are the ones that fund the administration of the program. So there's a lot of dominoes that are going to have to line up for people, which when you have a hungry child is a hard conversation to have. So leaning in on food pantries, leaning in on the St. Vincent's dining room, that's where people can get food while we all sort of wait and see. So hopefully it will be at least 50%, but we just don't have any real sort of rollout knowledge of what that's going to look like.
And somebody told me that I think the figure was $90 million
in Nevada.
In the state of Nevada. $90 million is what it takes to fund SNAP. But then, okay, so let's say that's cut to $45 million. This person very rightly said, well, don't forget, that's $45 million that's not being spent at our grocery stores.
Yes.
Or there's a domino effect as well.
There is, and we've had a lot of conversations about that, about the impact of the retail market. So, you know, we have normally $97 million a month that people are purchasing power, right? And they're buying that, plus they're buying additional items. So yes, stores that, you know, accept EBT cards, which is what SNAP cards are called, they are going to see an impact. And, you know, and so we anticipate some of that food will actually get donated back into organizations like Catholic Charities and get distributed out. But what we're fearful of is if they don't have the revenue of, you know, if I own a grocery store and I don't have the revenue, I may not be able to sustain all the staff I have on, you know, that's employed by me. So we might even see people who are, you know, getting their hours cut or losing their employment because the retail group is losing a lot of that revenue that's part of this subsidized program. You know, and SNAP is not a huge subsidy. It's about $190 on average per SNAP recipient. So, you know, if you're feeding your family on that, we're not talking huge sums of money, but it is so impactful in, you know, where it goes within that retail side of things. So yeah, there's lots of different concerns we have. I also have, like, as we mentioned, serious concerns about people who are getting no paychecks. Because if you're a government employee and you're not getting paid, you weren't a SNAP recipient to start with, and you can't become a SNAP recipient. So there's not even a safety net for those individuals who don't have paychecks that are coming in, which creates another entire group of individuals who could be facing food insecurity, housing insecurity, you know, all these different things that can really become a very downward spiral. And
that
it's the
is,
holidays.
Yes, and that is a key point, is that, okay, so you're getting a new group of people who aren't getting their paychecks or their income, and they can't sign up.
Correct.
So for those folks out there who it's probably a tough pill to swallow, right? It's probably a tough pill to swallow to ask for help,
right,
because we're talking about our communities, you know, they're our government workers. They're what normally keeps us running. You know
they're our donors normally.
Yeah, right. So how do they reach out to you, and how do they get help?
There's no shame in asking for help. You know, our client choice pantries have such an elevated level of dignity. So in Sun Valley, on Moana, And again, hours are, on our website. You can come in, it looks like a grocery store, you get a grocery cart, you get to go around and pick the items that work for you and your family. It doesn't have that feel of being like, okay, I got my pantry box. So that's one way. And then doing these family dinners in the dining room on Saturday and Sunday nights, the kids are running around, we've got music playing, you got this great, it looks like a restaurant, it's a buffet that people go through. So there are ways to, hopefully help people feel more comfortable in coming in and knowing that this is neighbor helping neighbor. There's no shame in this. There are lots of people who are not being impacted that are making donations to make this possible.
Yeah.
Things will all settle down eventually, but we just want to make sure people get good quality food and weather this storm that we're all in together.
And we're going to leave it there.
Yeah.
Marie Baxter, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're watching 2+U Nevada.
You are watching 2+U Nevada, and I'm very excited to have Dr. Laurel Toft here with us this afternoon. She's a UNR School of Medicine professor and a cardiologist at Carson Tahoe Health. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Pleasure to be here.
So we're actually talking, there are new CPR guidelines out there, and you were on the panel to help determine these new CPR guidelines. First and foremost, let me ask you, why are they changing?
Yeah, well, the good news is that for most lay rescuers, which would be most people watching, honestly, not much has changed. But on a 5-year cycle, we convene this group of international experts in order to review what's been published in the last 5 years, what's the new data say, do we need to adjust or change anything? And in this space, it's kind of hard to do research on CPR, as you can imagine. So not too much has changed, but we want to make sure that everything we put out there is current and up to date.
Okay, so let's talk about what was updated with this new set of guidelines.
Yeah, for lay rescuers, honestly, not anything changed. We still say, make it as simple as possible. If you have witnessed someone that you believe has had a cardiac arrest, they're not breathing normally, then first call 911, get an AED if one is nearby, and then push hard and fast in the center of the chest and do that until help arrives. Very simple, to the point, easy to remember.
So it's really for like the Joe Schmo, Jane Schmo out there, nothing has changed, but the change comes with medical practice.
Yeah, that's right. So for medical providers and healthcare professionals, there are subtleties that have changed in some of the ways that we're approaching things. More in the hospital space, how are we caring for people after they have a cardiac arrest? But really, again, for lay rescuers, we found that there wasn't any compelling new evidence about providing CPR. However, my part of the guidelines was looking at CPR education and training, and there are some new things emerging in that space about how we're training people in CPR.
Oh, go into that.
Yeah, so we were really interested in things like virtual reality, augmented reality. Could these be ways to get more training to people? And what the research shows is that something like augmented reality, where you're wearing the headset, but you're sort of practicing in the physical world, actually could be harmful in terms of training because you're not really doing the real chest compressions. So virtual reality could be helpful. Augmented reality is currently out. And then the area I'm most interested in is using games to teach CPR. And the data is showing that that could be a useful way to not only train with the physical skill, but also to provide emotional preparation for this very stressful event.
Yeah, because CPR, I don't think if you've never given CPR, never seen CPR being given, it is not a pretty event. It is highly physical. It is highly traumatic.
Yes.
You know, it's not like what you see in the TV shows. It's like messy.
Yes.
And there's some bodily fluids that can be coming out of people, you know, stuff like that, that people might not be aware of. So you've actually created a game to help teach CPR.
Yes, and it's exactly addressing what you've just said. So CPR training has really been focused on the mechanics since we started training people in CPR decades ago. Mechanics, very important. That's what saves lives. But what we're now realizing is we haven't adequately prepared people for the emotional barriers. There are things that actually stop people from wanting to act, either because they're traumatized, they're terrified, they think they're going to hurt somebody. And so the game that we've created, which is called Cardiac Star, attempts to immerse people in a more realistic environment. So you're actually watching a realistic cardiac arrest unfold, and you're hearing people voice all those concerns. Things like, Am I going to hurt this woman? Could I break her ribs? And we try to address those issues to kind of create what I like to call emotional muscle memory.
And that is so important. So emotional muscle memory is out there, and you want people to be prepared with stuff like that. Your game is currently in its beta phase. So can people in our community actually like log into your game and see what it's all about?
Well, we do have a website where you can check out what we've created. It's called cardiacstar.com. But right now we are testing this with groups of people because we intend this game to be in a group environment. We have competition between 2 teams, and we've actually been partnering with schools in the area, high schools in particular, to test out, are people learning CPR? What kind of emotions are being created for them? And do they know where to put their hands? So schools that are interested in partnering with us can certainly look on that website, and stay tuned because we're hoping to get this in its entirety ready for people to engage with.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Now, when you're talking about getting it in schools, you mentioned specifically high schools, but that bears the question, like at what age should parents start considering CPR lessons? Let's say your child wants to be a babysitter or watch the neighbor's kids, at what is the age appropriate time to get kids involved in CPR?
That was actually in our guidelines. So there have been a lot of studies looking at how young is too young, when can they physically do CPR, and when can they emotionally or cognitively learn. And 12 seems to be a very appropriate age for full CPR training. Younger than 12, there are many studies showing that we can socialize the idea of CPR. So we can teach kids to call 911 if there's an emergency. We've all heard news stories of children who called 911 and did CPR on their parents. In my household, my 10 and 5-year-old definitely knows CPR and point out AEDs wherever we go. That might be a hazard of the trade. But we certainly want to get kids comfortable with this idea of CPR, and full CPR training as young as 12.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And again, that website is cardiacstar.com. Dr. Toft, have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
You're watching 2+ U Nevada. You are watching 2+ U Nevada. This afternoon, I am at Crazy D's Hot Chicken with owner and founder Daniel Fedenoff. Daniel, this place is awesome. I love it here. You've got art by Bryce Chisholm. Tell me about your history and the origins of Crazy D's.
Yeah, so we started Crazy D's in 2020, right before the pandemic began, and we've expanded to 7 locations. We started right here in Reno, Nevada. This is our flagship location over by the Atlantis Casino, right off of South Virginia Street.
And what's crazy about this, because we're in that shopping center right next door to the Atlantis to help people kind of figure out where this location is. This is the OG, the original restaurant, and now you have locations, people are franchising this restaurant, and you've got franchise owners in Northern California, in Utah, and elsewhere.
That's right, yeah. So we're franchising nationwide. We're growing to about 10 locations by the end of the year.
Daniel, I gotta tell you, I love this story because I'm looking at you, you could be my son, no offense, and you started this when you were in your early 20s, such a great entrepreneur story in Northern Nevada. How did you even think about doing this?
Yeah, we just wanted to bring something new to the area. Growing up in Reno, we didn't have too many local chicken places in town, and chicken's always been a passion of mine, so we decided to bring it up here, and now we're expanding beyond that.
And I asked you, I said, because I was thumbing through this menu, and you've got so many cool things on your menu, and I said, well, where did you get these recipes? And your answer?
Trial and error.
Were you always into cooking or gastronomy? Kind of talk to me about that.
Not necessarily, but it's kind of what I started. My first few jobs were in fast food, and then my parents operated a European restaurant / deli, so I got some practice in there as well.
All right, so you grew up with it.
Yes.
You knew what you were getting into.
A little bit.
And now you have this awesome location. It's also a bar. You have happy hour. Explain the happy hour.
Yeah, so we're doing $4 draft beers, $5 cocktails. We also have mocktails if you don't want alcohol. We're streaming football games here as well, live sports, music.
And speaking of football, that brings up you also cater. So for anyone who's inviting people over to watch a game this fall, they can give you a call direct.
Yeah, catering, you can go directly through our website, fill out a form. We'll reach right out to you in about 24 hours or less.
Tell me what you got here on the table.
This is one of our most popular dishes here. It's our crazy fries. It's going to be like this big plate. It feeds about 2 people unless you're just starving.
Unless you're me.
And it's going to be our French fries with cheese, our signature chicken strips that we cut up, put over the fries, and then our house-made sauce on top. This is our number 2 combo.
Wait, hold on. Let's talk about this house-made sauce because that is legit. Why is it like it's sweet and spicy?
So the sauce is not spicy itself. You're probably tasting the spices from the chicken. But the sauce has like 30 different ingredients. We make it every morning in-house. Secret recipe.
Okay. So you're not going to go that deep into the magic, but I can assure you it is phenomenal. Okay, what else do we have?
Yeah, this is going to be our number 2. So it's 2 chicken sandwiches with French fries. Now the sandwiches come with pickles and coleslaw and our Crazy D's sauce. If you're not into pickles or coleslaw, you can take it off or sub it. And we call them sliders, but as you can see, they're full-size chicken sandwiches.
And you have smash burgers. There was one on your menu that looked amazing. The Infernal Jalapeno.
We have smash burgers that we recently added. So if you don't want chicken, you're not in the mood for chicken, you can get some beef.
Fantastic. So you cater. There's delivery. You can come in for happy hour, which sounds amazing. What is this, by the way?
Yeah, we have a draft beer and then one of our signature cocktails.
Who's at work? Oh, that's good.
Great.
Fantastic. Well, if folks want to get catering, if they want to get this delivered at home, what is the direct website?
Yeah, it's going to be crazydsHotChicken.com, and you can view full details for all of our locations to call in or place an order and find it on the map.
Wonderful. Daniel, thank you so much for including us. You're watching 2+U Nevada. You are watching 2+U Nevada, and we are here at Quest Counseling and Consulting. Joining me now, Jillian Anderson and Elia Nelson. Thank you both so much for being here and talking about this very important topic in our community, mental health. And Jillian, please explain to me what Quest does.
Yeah, happily. Quest does a lot of things. So we are a community behavioral health center, which means that we offer so many services. So mental health, substance use support and services, psychiatric services. We offer services for both children and adults. And then we also have our wraparound care, which includes peer support services and basic living skills and psychosocial rehabilitation and targeted case management. Quest really wants to be of service and of use to the people in our community, being able to meet them where they're at, as well as provide services here at Quest. Oh, and we also offer group support services.
And you don't turn anybody away.
Correct.
That's fantastic. One thing that you mentioned to me before we even started was that you have been here a long time, and then you developed and saw a need for perinatal mental health care. Talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Quest has been around since 2003. I've been with Quest for over 10 years. And what happened was that I got pregnant, and then I was like, oh my gosh, working with moms has always been a passion anyway. And it just really highlighted for me the need in our community for this specialized form of care, which is perinatal mental health.
And Elia, when does a woman come here, and how do you define perinatal?
Perinatal is conception or trying to conceive up to a year postpartum. So if you're trying to have a baby, and it also covers partners. So the whole family is covered in that, under that umbrella of services.
And for many people, especially like I was 39, my son was due on my 39th birthday and 41. So there was obviously a lot of work going into having a family for us. And, you know, some people have it a little bit easier than others in conception alone. And that can be a very stressful time for a couple.
Absolutely.
So talk to me about what you do for services for the partner as well in this process, helping to support a woman who might be having a hard time conceive.
There's a lot of stigma around that. And so it's really important that it gets talked about like in your family and as a couple. And so bringing that conversation to the table, period, is really important. Sometimes it doesn't get shared. They just support you and don't really know what to do. And so there's a lot of stress and anxiety that goes with that. So it's really important to have that conversation up front. And, you know, now that you know we're out here, men can seek services too. We offer some support services for men who are trying to support their partners. And also, how do I put that? It's like a couple support group as well, so that everybody's in it together, because it affects the whole family. So it's really important for everybody to be included.
It really does. And even how to even talk to couples who are trying to conceive and might be having a hard time as well. There's a whole language around that.
Yeah, it can be a pretty lonely time, I think, for a lot of people who are trying to conceive but not able. And so part of what this program does, and we actually recently received a new grant to kind of expand our perinatal program to offer services to the rural communities as well as more urban. And one of the things that Elia and I came up with was not just a support group for the pregnant and parenting and postpartum birthing person, but also their partners. Also adoptive parents, and it kind of really can encompass anybody who's working in that realm.
Trying to get a new member of their family.
Yep, absolutely. And so support groups is one of the things that we're launching. Also screening is really important. And so being able to talk with clients and potential clients about screening for perinatal mental health. So there's a screening that's available. The most common one is called the Edinburgh postnatal screening, depression screening. And it's just 10 questions. And we're really trying to provide education about this as well, because really what we ideally want is we want OBs and pediatricians and even like daycare providers, anybody who comes in contact with a person in the perinatal period, to be able to be screened for that Edinburgh, to use the Edinburgh because it's just easier.
You know, I'm just going to share a little insight. When I had our daughter, 3 months to the day after returning to work from my maternity leave, I got laid off. No fault of my own. It was a startup life, but I felt so worthless. And I couldn't understand what I did to get laid off. And it really affected me for quite a long time. And I never felt comfortable talking about it. And even going to the doctor's office, they ask you the questions, and I hid the truth. And I just owned that I was worthless for a while. So what do you want to tell moms out there?
Yeah, I think that your experience of like worthlessness overall is not uncommon. And a lot of women feel lonely in that. And so really it's 1 in 5 women who experience perinatal mental health, and 1 in 10 partners. And so it's so much more common than really people are aware of. And that's part of what this program is about, is really providing that education that it's not your fault. You don't have to be alone, and there is help. With help and treatment, it's actually a very easily treatable diagnosis. And so there's lots of things you can do for treatment as well. There's talk therapy, there's medication, there's support groups. There's so much available.
And you are online?
We are online, yes. So you can find us at Quest Counseling at our website. You can call us anytime.
Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. You are watching 2+U Nevada. You are watching 2+U Nevada. I'm so excited to have a great duo here this afternoon. We've got Jesse Abshire, the founder and CEO of Abshire Family Financial, and Dr. Brian Hansen, the owner and founder of ProSpinal. Thank you both for being here this afternoon.
Thanks for having us.
So you two are this dynamic duo, and you've come up with an event that everyone needs to know about at home, Health and Wealth Estate Planning Expo, and it's Friday, November 7th. Kind of go into what people can expect at this expo on Friday.
Well, we don't want to give away too much. But I mean, the first thing is, Brian and I have known each other, like 20 years?
At least, yeah.
Give or take. So we're trying to do something that's never been done in the community before. Health and Wealth has never really had an event for the community. So the first thing we're going to do is actually celebrate the community. When they arrive, there's going to be a red carpet event so they can bring out their significant other, have some nice pictures. After that, we're going to do a little networking and some food, and then the seminar will begin. The seminar will be hosted like a talk show.
Oh, nice. Well, you're getting some good practice here.
Yeah.
But really and truly, let's talk about the question, because we are living longer. But is our quality of life there? Or are people able to sustain it? Are they creating the patterns now so that they have enough money to live the way they want to live 30 years from now, 40 years from now?
Such a good question. You want to grab the health spot and I'll pick up the back?
Well, yeah, I think as we live longer, we definitely need to maintain our health longer, right? So my goal is to bring to the community alternatives to medication management and surgery so that you can carry on and be active and really enjoy your quality of life. But you have to be able to afford it, which is where Jesse comes in.
So my part to that is, traditionally people, were working, let's say until we're 65 years old, and then it's like you have the 4% rule, which is very outdated. And 4% just means how much money I have is how much I can draw down per year to make sure I don't outlive it. But now that health is improving, we're taking better care of ourselves. The portfolio kind of needs to be, planned around that so that we can live longer, let's say more comfortable.
And let's delve into that 4% rule for, excuse me. Let's delve into that 4% rule. And yeah, I mean, we've seen inflation right now change. So if somebody had planned for a certain amount of money and they're now 70, the amount of money that they can live off of might not be or go as far as they had planned. So at our age, what should we be putting away? What should the rule be?
Oh, we're getting into the deets now. So what we do is we do what's called a COMRA. So it's a cost of money risk analysis.
Okay.
And that's kind of like our blend. So if someone comes back at a 50%, it's like, okay, well, 50% of the portfolio should be completely safe and protected somehow. And then 50% should be exposed to market volatility. This gives a nice blend, and it also allows for consistent protection of money, and especially if you're on fixed income.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer. And then when it comes to aging gracefully and keeping moving, I mean, the healthy adults that I see, the healthy seniors that I see are seniors who don't just sit.
Right.
And
so activity definitely helps you live longer and better and in less pain. Yeah. So my goal, or our goal really, is to educate the population on what you can do very conservatively, from simply moving and staying active to when you do end up with injuries, how to address those quickly with the latest technology.
And a dear friend, Dan Armalea, I mean, he is one of your biggest spokespeople because if you've seen the commercial, he's been brought to tears because he was able to go on trips and move again thanks to you when he was almost immobile.
It was definitely a team effort, but yes, he came in on crutches and had 2 requirements, as you remember in the commercial. And we were able to get him to his graduation for his son, and we got him on his bucket list trip. So we see those throughout the years. I had another patient who wanted to hike Mount Everest, and he too was on crutches. And it took us, it's about a 6 to 8 week process, but he took a picture at the top of Everest and sent it to me signed. So we see little miracles like that happen a lot with the decompression.
So we are talking about this event. It is Friday, November 7th. It starts at 5:30 in the evening, and you will learn about wealth health and body health and outliving or living longer with your money and your body.
Absolutely.
Okay, so where do people go to register for this event?
Yeah, that's a great question. So they go to abshirefamilyevents.com. There's drop downs in there for you to register to let us know how you found out. But again, the website we're using is abshirefamilyevents.com.
You guys, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I hope so many people attend your event, especially to learn about keeping their bodies moving and to keep their money.
That's it.
Keep their money moving up.
That's the goal. We're not running out.
There you go. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. You're watching 2+U Nevada. Are you a business or nonprofit and want to be featured on 2+U Nevada? Have a Mom to Mom Monday, a Tried It Tuesday, or even a cute pic you just want to show us? The whole point of 2+U Nevada is the plus you. You can send us your content by visiting our website. Head to 2news.com and click on 2+U Nevada. Or you can email us at 2+UNevada@ktvn.com. Now for our What the Heck Wednesday. Baristas in Dubai are pouring the world's most expensive cup, ringing up at $1,000. This coffee is made from rare, hand-picked beans grown in Panama, delivering a flavor that's delicate and sweet, a bit like honey.
You will find mostly white flowers like jasmine, and citrus flavors like orange, mandarin, bergamot.
If I was very rich and I did not care, I would try it just because.
And get this, the cafe spent a jaw-dropping $600,000 on just 44 pounds of those prized beans at an auction. They plan to serve around 400 cups, saving some big-ticket brew for Dubai's ruling family. And we are leaving you with that cup of joe this afternoon. Thank you for inviting us into your home. We look forward to joining you every weekday at 3 for 2+U Nevada. 2 News Nevada at 4 starts now.